If I asked you what you thought the worst perk in all of Dead by Daylight is, what would you say? Corrective action? No mither? The almighty thwack? Well, corrective action is definitely bad, yes. It's a perk that fills a niche for some players, like playing with a friend who's new to the game and can't hit skill checks really. No mither in a swift is actually pretty useful, since if you pair it with things like say background player or breakout breakdown, boil over, etc., it can make it impossible for the killer to actually pick you up or hook you, because then you're also immune to slugging entirely with no mither. Or thwack can give info mid chase in some loops. No, what I would say is the worst perk in Dead by Daylight is Alien Instinct. Now, I know some of you might disagree and mention other perks, but the reason why I say this is because with some of the other bad perks in the game, there's none that do what they do, like Predator and Bloodhound, which do help with tracking, and no other perk in the game does what they do. There's no other perk that helps tracking blood trails or scratch marks. Even though this isn't exactly useful because good players will already know how to track with these two things without needing Predator or Bloodhound, there's still nothing that does what they do. However, Alien Instinct is outclassed in literally every aspect of its kit and fills no niche like corrective action does. It literally is a perk that does basically nothing on 99% of the roster. So let's start with what Alien Instinct actually does. When you hook a survivor, the furthest injured survivor is revealed to you for 5 seconds and they become oblivious for 20 seconds. Oh my god, it's just so bad. It's so bad. Like, where do I even start talking about it, because it's so bad. Alien Instinct is an on-hook effect, one of the strongest in the game, with perks like Pop, Grim Embrace, Deadman Switch, Pain Res, Barbecue, and so many more on-hook effects. These types of perks are meant to be strong because they reward you winning a chase and usually help you get back into the game, either by stopping gens with Deadman Switch or Grim Embrace, regress gens like Pop and Pain Res, or give info like Barbecue and Chili or Floods of Rage. Alien Instinct, on the other hand, only reveals one far away survivor. Let's address the elephant in the room first off, and that's this is an ore reading perk, meaning that in about 30 to 40% of your matches, this perk won't work most of the time. One of the most used perks in the game is Distortion, which makes you immune to ore reading effects. So if you hook someone and that injured survivor has Distortion, well, you basically didn't do anything. Now, you can make the argument that the same thing would happen with Barbecue and Chili, but hold on just a second. With Barbecue, you can possibly reveal the whole rest of the team with it, 3 other survivors, whereas Alien Instinct is only 1 survivor. With Barbecue, I highly doubt that all 3 other survivors will be running Distortion. I mean, it is a possibility, yes, but if one of those 3 doesn't have it, well, you know where your next target is. The other and my biggest issue with this perk is the stipulation with it, the furthest injured survivor. Let me be clear, I do understand what this perk tries to do, what it's designed to do, the whole concept behind it. It's designed to be that you hook someone and you go for the weakest link on the team, an injured survivor, and they're oblivious so you can sneak up on them. There are 3 major issues with this though. One is that even though the survivor is oblivious, you must remember that whenever a survivor is hooked, a gigantic bubble appears showing exactly where the killer is. Meaning that if you hook someone on one half the map and the survivor is on the other side of the map, basically both of you know where each other is. Sure, this can maybe have some value on a killer like an unknown who can quickly teleport onto that survivor across the map, but then that leads me into the next issue. This is one of the few perks in the game that reveals itself. What I mean by this is that whenever it activates, the game will say on the top right, Oblivious, Alien Instinct. What this means is that now the survivor knows that you're coming for them. What's the point of a stealth perk if I know that they see me and know where I'm coming from? This effect only really works well in killers who can maybe teleport onto them somewhere close by, but then most killers already do have undetectable base kit. Demogorgon, Onryo, Dredge all have undetectable base kit, and Freddy has built-in Oblivious. What's the point of having Oblivious if the game just outright says, hey, the killer saw you, knows where you are, and is probably heading your way? This leads into another issue, of course. Sure, the survivor is oblivious, but you gave them one of the strongest tools in Dead by Daylight, information. By the simple fact of saying the killer saw me, I now know that I should run somewhere safer. In 2v8, whenever your aura was revealed, the game told you that, and it basically meant, okay, well, time to stop hiding and run somewhere safe. If I'm working on a gen and see that the killer knows my location and can appear without me hearing them, the best option is just to run to a safe tile because then I'm prepared. Answer me this. Would you rather chase a survivor who was caught off guard or chase a survivor who already knew that you were coming for them? Depending on the map, a good survivor can take extreme advantage of this, like say on Eyrie of Crows or Garden of Joy, where they can run to a safe part of the map with 30 pallets and just stall for ages. Sure, they may be injured, but an injured survivor isn't out of the game that easily. There are many perks for survivors while injured that help them massively. Iron Will, Resilience, Dead Hard, etc, etc. This isn't just an injured survivor, this is an injured survivor with prep time. They knew you were coming for them. With Barbecue, it never reveals itself. You don't know if the killer has it or not. Sure, you can make educated guesses, like when the Blight runs directly onto you after hooking someone, but that could also just be like the Blight guessing with having good game sense, or maybe they have Gearhead, Discordance, etc, etc. There's so many variables. The difference is that with Barbecue, you don't know if the killer has it. So when the killer starts getting nearby, you're like, oh okay, maybe they have it. Versus Alien Instinct, which outright tells you that the killer has seen your aura and now you have Oblivious. Not to mention that Oblivious isn't as good as an effect as Undetectable. See, Undetectable removes your terror radius, red stain, and immunity to aura reading. All Oblivious does is makes it so that the survivor can't hear your terror radius. Hypothetically, if the hooked survivor or the survivor has Kindred, they'll be able to see and know where the killer is heading, whereas with Undetectable, they wouldn't be able to see you. If only there was a perk that gave Undetectable when you hook someone. Oh wait, Furtive Chase gives Undetectable and Haste for 18 seconds. That is infinitely better than 20 seconds of Oblivious, and let's talk about that. See, 20 seconds isn't exactly a lot, especially when you're revealing the person furthest away. See, if you're playing a killer who has no mobility, like let's say Deathslinger or Leatherface, and try and get value out of it, by the time you're nearby, that Oblivious will already have run out anyways, so you won't even get value out of it because by the time you get there, they'll probably just be entering your terror radius anyways. There's just no point in it. But you know what's even worse? There's a perk that does this whole thing infinitely better. Friends Till the End is the same perk in concept. You hook a survivor and you get to see your next target who's weakened, except this one reveals their aura for double the amount of time and applies Exposed. Exposed is basically the most threatening status effect in the whole game because it can bypass something like Dead Hard and you won't have to worry about things like Iron Will or Resilience, anything like that. It's just a one hit down. The duration is the same and has double the aura reading, but doesn't have the same stipulation of needing someone to be injured. If you hook someone who's not the obsession, you see the obsession. If you hook the obsession, you get to see someone random and know where to find them. It doesn't matter if it's injured or not, and it's not always the person furthest away. It always works. Because unless someone tanks a hit for the survivor, your first chase will usually always be without hitting anyone else, so it won't do anything if no one is injured. I suppose we should talk about that now. Even on the killers who can keep people injured like Legion or Plague, this perk still isn't good because remember, it's on the survivor furthest away. Meaning that if two people are injured, instead of showing you the possible survivor that's close to you, like say 30 meters away from you, it'll show you the Dwight across the map that's 60 meters away. For most killers, there is no reason to just give up pressure and go cross map unless you're running Devour Hope or Make Your Choice, two infinitely better perks. I genuinely can only think of two possible scenarios where Alien Instinct actually does something beneficial. The first is that the survivor is within the blind spot of Barbecue and Chili. See, if survivors are within a certain range of Barbecue and Chili, it won't show their aura. If they're within 40 meters of the hooked survivor, then I guess Alien Instinct would work, I guess, assuming that someone is injured, of course. But then why not use Floods of Rage, which shows everyone no matter what range when unhooked, which can help mid-chase. The second instance where I see value is with Oni. Oni obviously needs to go to injured survivors to get blood orbs, so being able to see where the injured survivor is to go absorb some blood will help him get his power faster. But again, Barbecue can do the exact same thing, but show the whole team. There's just so many better information tools that exist, it just sucks. Another thing is that Barbecue and Chili will give you more pressure than Alien Instinct. What do I mean by that? Well, if you use Barbecue and see one injured survivor and two on the gens, you would get more value and more info, chasing the two survivors off the gen and making it so there's no gens being worked on, and forcing the injured person to unhook and possibly get another easy down while they're unhooking the other survivor or while they're healing. Whereas with Alien Instinct, you'd have no information where the other two survivors are, so you'd go for the injured person while two healthy people can do gens, unhook, heal, etc, etc. Or even then, if there are two survivors that are injured, remember, it's on the person furthest away. So if that second survivor is healing with another survivor, you wouldn't even get to know that. Whereas with Barbecue, you'd be able to see it. It's just so bad. It has two annoying bad stipulations and requirements to it. It's so bad. So now let's talk about the other half of the kit, the Oblivious part. Like I already mentioned, it's not a strong effect in the first place. I mean, it's 20 seconds. It doesn't last a long time at all. If you want Oblivious, just use Plaything. It can give at minimum like 30 seconds of stall because the survivor will need to search the map for the totem and cleanse it. And for the first 90 seconds, no other survivor can cleanse that totem except for the person it's tied to. Meaning that if nobody does cleanse it and they have the totem still up, that's permanent Oblivious. So let's recap. This is a perk with a somewhat hard to activate requirement because you must hook someone, you must have someone else injured for it to work, it has horrible ore reading range because it's the furthest person away, and a mediocre status effect. Again, I just want to say, the reason why I say it's the worst is because there's so many perks that do its job, but just better info to activate, better effects that activate, etc, etc. There's Friends Till the End, Barbecue, Gearhead, Plaything, Floods of Rage. There's just so many better perks that give you so much more value. The fact that it shows you the person farthest away is so bad on any killer who has no mobility because it'll probably take you 20 seconds to get to them. And then remember, they have time to run somewhere safe or just straight up hide. It's only 5 seconds of ore reading on someone who's, 50 meters away, 60 meters away. That's so much time to hide somewhere. Like, genuinely, I'd say Spies from the Shadow is a much better perk than Alien Instinct. Spies from the Shadow is honestly kind of slept on. It's a little underrated. Like, I see the reason for this perk existing, but Friends Till the End just does it much better and is way more threatening. Overall, Alien Instinct is just an extremely underpowered, underwhelming, lackluster, redundant, useless perk that gets outclassed in every aspect of its abilities. Like, genuinely, I want someone to try and tell me a scenario outside of the two I mentioned where Barbecue, Floods of Rage, or Plaything don't do what Alien Instinct can do. Because, like I mentioned, the only time Alien Instinct would be better than Barbecue is if that injured survivor is within the 40 meters that Barbecue won't detect them. Like, that's it. Because if no one is injured, you don't have a perk. And with how common medkits are being used like every match, the hit and run playstyle just isn't viable anymore. I seriously have trouble thinking of a time where I'd willingly want to go to the complete total opposite side of the map to start someone with chase who knows that I saw them and know that I'm coming for them. I don't really have much else to say other than take care of yourselves and have a damn good one. Peace.